you seen in terms of the impact of COVID-19 on levels of, I would say, activity, and how are some of your clients coping with the difficulties that have come, from, first of all, from a cost perspective? I imagine there's a high pressure on the number of companies to deal with costs, given the low price of oil, but also HSC challenges around how companies are dealing with COVID-19 at the moment.
Okay, thank you. When we look to the industry itself, and starting from upstream, Angola is not facing a different challenge that all the global industry is facing. All the operators are challenging to reduce OPEX, and all the major oil and gas companies, common known as IOCs, have stopped or reanalyzed all the capex investments around the world. So based on that, what is happening with the industry in Angola is fully aligned with what we are seeing in the rest of the world. When we look to Angola itself, and we look to upstream, I would say that in the last 4 to 5 years, Angola was doing already a great progress around the local content. So I would say that if we look to this point, it's for example, COVID probably is an enabler to fast track the local content, because the problem of COVID is that we avoid the excess of people. So I would say that also in personnel on board around the platforms, the companies are trying to reduce the level of people that are on board. So I would, and we have restrictions to fly. So at the moment, the industry itself is doing their normal routines, and the level of production in Angola has not decreased based on the COVID itself. So I would say that for local context perspective, for example, it's an opportunity to continue to invest and to have more national people engaged and doing the key tasks in terms of operation maintenance around the upstream stuff.
The very first measure you need to take is to be proactive in reaching out to the client and come up with solutions on cost, right? Renegotiate the deals before you end up in a situation where the contract is actually canceled and therefore you need to lay off people. So you need to be very proactive in engaging the clients to find solutions on how to get the costs down. Number two is to perform. Okay, it's extremely important to make sure we perform seamlessly in when we have situations like this, because low performance actually have a huge impact in the cost of quality, right? So you don't want to have additional costs when you are in situations like this. And then ultimately, after you've gone through all the exercise looking at your supply chain, which is 70% of your cost, right? In industries like ours, after you've looked at 70% of your cost, which is supply chain, you then can look at the 30% of that, which is your manpower. And it's a very, I don't really like to have this kind of discussions. It's one of those discussions a leader has a must. But you know, it's always very painful to let people go. But we do that ultimately after we've gone through all the efforts to make sure we've gone to the minimum level of costs acceptable. And then that's when you start to discuss layoffs.
We have all the companies within the oil and gas have been hit, and we are looking mainly here in Angola to go along with the strategy of all the multinational corporates. So Angola, as it was stated by Frederico in the beginning, really hasn't taken a very deep turn within the production. So the costs associated or the cuts from OPEC will be in the round of 20-25%. So this equates to 300 to 400 barrels per day. So it's less revenue that will come. However, given other locations, it is not a very high cut. So the cost savings, we have to do it. So it is mandatory, of course, for all we have to adapt to this organization. However, being in a multinational company, I have been more concerned with some other colleagues from other countries or from other locations that are very much within the cuts and layoffs and all the respective downturn in that. So Angola, fortunately, is being a little bit spared on this, even in terms of production, in terms of investment. So most of the projects ongoing are still ongoing, even though they are delayed.
These kind of situations bring opportunities. Opportunities for the local players, opportunities for the local service companies, opportunities for service companies that can latch on to the opportunities created by the IOCs. And the IOCs themselves are looking for opportunities. Let's talk about, for example, Uganda. Look at what Total did. Let's talk about what some of the IOCs in Angola are doing towards trying to accelerate the gas drive, because there are opportunities in relation to other industries that can come out of the gas. Those are the things. We had a bid round that was planned for this year. It was actually announced in the newspaper for companies to come up with like a pre-consultation process for that. And I think the agency was always clear from the beginning, and they presented it at the oil conference that happened last year, that there are, regardless of the normal bid processes, they're always open for direct negotiations. So there are opportunities such as onshore. I'm sure that now with the lower costs in services, a lot of countries are taking opportunities for lower risk plays, such as onshore. Marginal fields is something that has been looked at for a while. There's been a lot of talk about gas production and gas monetization and integration of Angola with other African markets. So there are a lot of opportunities.
COVID will go away. It will hit and have hit the world very hard, but it will go away. And we need to remain calm in times like this so we don't lose sight of what is really critical and what is strategic. Because in times like this, companies offers governments a lot of good deals, so to say. They look good because the forecast is that the economy is looking bad, and therefore people take opportunity and advantage of moment like this to negotiate best deals possible, right? Because you don't know what is coming ahead. And as Frederico said, the main issue here is uncertainty. So let's remain calm and look at what can we control as companies, as governments. We can control how we perform. We can control what costs we can and we cannot incur. And as governments, we can control our budget. We can review our budget to the minimum possible. We can address social assistance, but you cannot control what the oil price will be tomorrow.